All right, so the first part of the question is setting up the entry order. So if it's going to be a long order, we'd like to set the entry up on the bid price, whatever the current bid price might be. And then the short would be the ask. So, all right, so let's get that started here. So that's going to be a part of the order set here, right? Setting up the entry order is going to be a part of the order set. So when you are creating an order set, you know, the first thing you do need to set up is the entry order. Let's see. So this along at the bid, so bid is typically going to be, is slightly below the market. So we'll use a limit order for that. There we go. All right, so now we can open up our entry order, and now we need to set up the initial placement. So we don't want the limit order to be placed at the closing price of the bar. We want to change that to the bid price there. All right, so let's put in the bid. And when we select the bid, right, for long trades, we can see that on the short side here for short trades, the opposite is selected for us automatically. So we got the short entry set to the ask price set automatically there. So let's get this back open. All right, there we go. And that's all there is to it. Now, if we wanted to maybe add an offset or something like that, so if we wanted to go one tick below the bid, or one tick above the ask, we could do that as well with the offset here, but let's clear that out, set that to 0. All right, so that's all it is. That's all it took. That was pretty straightforward. So now let's work on the stop loss there. All right, so let's shrink this down a little bit. Okay, so initial stop loss placement is going to be 8 ticks. And let's see, and we do have a break even +2 at 7 ticks, and then we're going to do some trailing here. So what I'm going to do is from the stop loss, I'm going to use a trailing, one of these quick list rules here. And I'm going to use the one that has trailing with a break even. So this is a break even +1, but we'll just go in there and adjust everything, customize it to what's wanted here. So let's select this quick list item here. All right, and then we can just go into the stop loss and customize everything. All right, so instead of the initial placement being 10 ticks, we're going to adjust this up to 8 ticks, like so. So a negative 8 ticks. All right, so if you're taking a long trade, right, your stop losses are always below, so that would be a negative value there. So, all right, so there's our initial. So now let's go into the trailing actions tab here. And now we can take a look at the trailing rules that we have here. So let's see, so let's take a look at rule number 2 here for the break even. So let's go back into our order set here. So I'm going to adjust the name here. So it's actually a break even +2 after 7 ticks in profit. So, all right, next thing we want to adjust is the initial delay. All right, so this initial delay is what waits for that 7 ticks of forward movement here, right? Or 7 ticks of profit, and another way of saying that. So let's adjust this down to 7 ticks. So we're going to wait for 7 ticks, wait for the market, basically, right? Ticks in direction is waiting for the market to move 7 ticks in the direction of the trade, right? So if the trade is long, then we're waiting for the market to move 7 ticks up, right? That would be 7 ticks of profit. All right. Let's see. There's no trigger, but the action. So the action is going to be, instead of a break even plus 1, right? We need to adjust our break even to plus 2. So we just adjust the offset up by 1. So change the offset from 1 to 2. So there we go. So break even, right, is your entry price. All right. So yes, when you're looking at the prices, your entry price is your break even. So we just take the break even and then add our plus 2 offset to it. And that was it. So again, another simple one to do. The next part is the trailing here. So we want to trail 5 ticks on each 2 ticks of market movement or forward movement in the market there. So, all right, so let's go back into our trailing roll here. So this is going to be a 5-tick, 5-tick trailing. Let's see, and it's going to be for each 2 ticks. For each 2 ticks of movement. There. All right, so this is going to be, let's see here. Yeah, so we no longer need, this initial delay anymore. So I'm just going to turn it off, right? So once that stop loss moves to break even plus 2, BlackBird's going to be smart enough that it's not going to start trailing 5 ticks behind until the market moves high enough, to actually start pulling that 5-tick trailing. So we no longer need the initial. We do need the initial delay. Yeah, we don't want the trailing to start right away. So actually, I just need to recalculate what we need for this initial delay. Actually, yeah, we'll just take. We're going to take the 7-tick delay here from the break-even rule and apply that to our trailing roll. There we go. All right. Yeah, so we're going to set both of these to the 7-tick delay. And then we'll go into the action and set this as a 5-tick trailing. All right, so what are we trailing? Well, if you want your trailing rule to act on a tick-by-tick basis, then we need to use the last price. So in NinjaTrader, the last price is always the most current price, right? The live price that's coming in. So if you pull up the, If you pull up NinjaTrader's time and sales window, right? It's showing you what the last price is. And that's right, the last tick that the market traded at. So that's what we're using. So that price will move the stop loss in real time. And now the repeat here. So we want this trailing to keep repeating, indefinitely until the stop loss gets taken out. But we want it to repeat every 2 ticks in the direction of the trade, right? So in other words, this rule is only going to repeat when the market moves in the direction of the trade, right? So there we go. So 2 ticks in the direction of the trade. Okay, so now We have one last rule here. So we're going to tighten that stop loss to 3 ticks after we get 15 ticks of forward movement or profit. So let's go and add another trailing rule here. So we want this to be, right, 3 ticks. And let's see. All right, and this is going to move one. Yeah, we want the stop loss to move on a 1-to-1 ratio. So it's just going to be a straight 3-tick trailing. Yeah, so we're not going to wait for every 2 ticks of price movement. It's going to be every 1 tick. All right. So this is just your basic, just your basic 3-tick trailing here. So, right. So it's going to become a 3-tick trailing after 15 ticks of profit. So let's set our initial delay to 15 ticks. There we go. And now the action. So we're going to move the stop loss to, right, it's going to be the last price minus 3 ticks below the last price. So that's what creates a 3-tick trailing. And then we're going to go to the repeat. And we want this to repeat indefinitely. And it's going to be we want to repeat every 1 tick basically in price movement. So, all right. And let's see, just double checking here. Yep. And that does it. Okay. So let's take this for a little test here. Let's see. All right. So let's click OK. And let's see. It looks like the market's moving down a little bit. So let's do we'll just do a go short. And well, look, yeah, price had ticked up right there at that very moment, so it picked it up. Let's see if I can enter at such a time that that actually the order doesn't get picked up yet. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. Now our limit order is waiting there at the bid when it got entered. So let me move the market up, and we'll pick up that order and then analyze the stop loss trailing. All right, there we go. Now let's move the market down and take a look at the stop loss trailing. All right, so we're waiting for 7 ticks of profit here before the break even kicks in. So there's 5. And one thing to note that BlackBird uses real P&L. It doesn't use the last price for the P&L. It actually, BlackBird uses the bid and ask prices to calculate its P&L. There we go. All right, so we hit 7 ticks. All right, so now, every 2 ticks of movement, and there we go. Now it just jumped down to a 3-tick trailing. So that obviously that happens very quickly, moving from 7 ticks to 15 ticks. Happened very quickly, but so let's try that one more time here. Let's move the market up, and I'll close that order out. All right, let's go long. So there is our limit sitting at the ask. So let's pull the market back, pick up that order. All right, there's 6, 7. Boom. All right. So there was our 7 ticks, break even. So now every 2 ticks, the stop loss is trailing up by 1. There. I'm sorry. Every 2 ticks, the stop loss is trailing up by 2 because it is just a flat 5-tick trailing here. There. All right, and we just hit that 15 ticks of profit, and so now that stop loss is trailing 3 ticks behind. All right, so there we go. Pretty straightforward. Christian wants to set BlackBird up so that it, I guess, enters automatically 1 tick above the latest swing price. Okay, yeah. So let's get the swing indicator on here. All right, so Christian, I take it you're just using NinjaTrader's swing indicator with a setting of 5. It sounds like. Yeah, so the swings indicator. Okay. All right, the swing strength of 5. All right, let's get this on the chart here. All right, so I just want to start off with a little cautionary note here. Yeah, so here's kind of a good example here, this area in here. When you're using indicators, to set your order prices, in particular, when you're using an indicator to set a stop loss, that's a particular cause for, something to be aware of. So, for example, let's say you place a long trade on, right? So you have, so you've got a long entry order, right? A stop entry waiting up here, 1 tick above your swing high. Yeah, let's see, 1 tick above or below the latest swing. Yeah, okay. And then you said you want to, actually, never mind. Well, I'll just go ahead and say this anyways here. But let's say, for example, you also wanted to use the swing for your stop loss. Now, actually, in the case of Christian's question, he's not using the swing for the stop loss. He's using the bars high and low prices. But if you were, if someone did want to use the swing as their stop loss price, just be aware that, sometimes indicators may not be plotting, when you get into a trade. So, for example, let's say if price kept going higher, right, and picked up this entry long, this long order, right, there's no swing low here yet, right? The swing indicator stopped plotting once it got broken. And with a swing strength of 5, there wouldn't have been enough bars yet for the swing indicator to start plotting a swing low yet. Right, so just always be very cognitive of using indicators, in particular with stop loss orders. But if you're using an indicator for any type of order, whether it's your entry or your profit target, or your stop, just be aware that, your indicator may not be plotting, in which case, if there's no plot for BlackBird to read, then BlackBird's just going to skip on your trade, right? BlackBird's going to basically, give you a little warning message, that, hey, such and such indicator had no value, and so therefore the trade was skipped. So, all right. So just be cautious of that when you're using indicators, to set your order prices. So, all right. So, so with that, let's move forward here. All right. Let's move the trend down and let's get BlackBird open here. All right, so we're going to modify our entry order so that it's automatically located at either the swing high or the swing low, depending on, which one is wanting to be traded here. So, all right, so let's open up our entry order, and instead of this being a market, we know it's going to be a stop. And our initial placement is going to be, instead of price, we're going to use an indicator. So select that. Now let's go in here and select our indicators. So we'll scroll down to the S's. And all right, there's the swing indicator. Let's add it down there. All right, so we have a strength of 5. And so now we just need to select the correct plots. All right, so there we go. So for a long trade, we're going to use the swing high, and the swing low is going to be used for a short trade. So we'll select the short there for the swing low. All right, so the indicator's selected. Now we need to set the offset. So we want it 1 tick positive, 1 tick above the swing high. Yep, and the short side was set for us automatically. It went to -1 ticks below the swing low. All right, so really that's all we needed to do. Yep, it's quite that simple there. Let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna take a look to see if maybe we can automate this a little bit as well here. So we might, so I need to just double check the behavior of the swing indicator. Yes. So the swing indicator will automatically drop down to the next swing, swing high. Yeah. All right. Sounds good. So let's do some automation here. So I'm going to go back into the entry order, go into the trailing actions tab, and I'll turn this on. We'll set this to custom and add a trailing rule. And so we'll just simply call this, we're just going to follow the swing. So we'll just follow the swing, high or lows. And all we need to do is go into the action here and adjust the move to so that our entry order will move to the swing indicator. So again, we need to go change from price, change it to indicator value, and we'll set up our swing indicator again. Let's see, there's our swing indicator. All right, the strength is still 5. And let's select the swing low, just like that. So there we go. For a long, we're using the swing high. For a short trade, we're using the swing low plot. And let's add our offset from the indicator's plot, like so. There we go. And one last step, we need to set up the repeat here. So let's select the repeat, and we'll just have this repeat indefinitely every bar, right? So on every bar, when the indicator updates itself, we'll have BlackBird basically analyze the swing, swing indicator, and move the stop entry. So, one other thing. Let's see. I just wanted to double check here. Wanted to make sure. So under actions, wanted to make sure that the allow movement is both directions. Yeah, make sure that's set to both directions there. There. All right. Okay. So with this setup, this is not going to be an auto trader because it doesn't have any entry signals here. So, but this does simplify things because let's close this out. So if you decide that you want to, right, so we do have a swing high and a swing low on the chart here. So if you do decide, okay, I want to, I think the market's going long, so you can just hit the go long button, and there you go. BlackBird is, gonna move this entry order to whatever the recent swing high, wherever that recent swing high plot is, right? So if I do create a couple of down bars here, right, we'll get a new swing high made. All right, so this potentially could be a new swing high there. Just need to, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and need 2 more bars to form before this gets identified as a swing high. So I'll just create a couple more bars here. And bingo, there we go. So, right, a new swing high was identified, and BlackBird pulled your entry order down to the most recent swing high. Yeah. Now, if you don't want, your entry orders to be automated like that, if you want it to stay where the swing plot was when you hit the go long or go short button, then all you need to do is just go into the entry order, and then go into the trailing actions tab, and we can just simply turn off the trailing rules. So just simply disable it, and now your entry order will stay where it was initially placed. It's not going to automatically move there. So, but if you want your entry order to automatically update with the swing plot, then all you need to do is just turn the mode back to custom, and the trailing actions is re-enabled there. So, all right. So with that, let me take a look at the questions again, see if there's any questions on this. Let's see. Christian's asking, if I pull the market down, will it go short? No, it's not going to go short because I placed a buy stop entry order here. So if you wanted to go short, you just cancel the order and hit go short. There you go. And now BlackBird will place a short entry order there. Okay, so Vladimir has a 2-part question here. So the first part is, how can we close out a trade if the trade's not profitable after 2 hours? All right, that's the first question there. So, okay, let's clear this out here. All right, so let's just set up a market entry order. And so we're going to focus on the stop loss here. So, so either you'll need a stop loss or you'll need a profit target. You'll need one of these orders. You'll need one of these orders in place in order to close out the position here. So I'm going to use the stop loss here. So let's see here. I'll just use a regular 10-tick stop loss. And so, if the trade might possibly take 2 hours, then just to make a little sense, I'll just increase this stop loss a little bit. There. All right, so let's go over to the trailing actions. And let's turn the trailing actions on. Let's add a trailing rule. We want to close this position after 2 hours if there's a loss. All right, so the time delay here, we're going to use the initial delay And you can see we have seconds. So we're going to have to calculate how many seconds is 2 hours. So let's do that real quick. All right, so there's 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour. All right, times 60. And then we want 2 hours. So there we go, 7,200 seconds. So 7,200 seconds. So there's our initial delay. And then the next thing is going to be the trigger. Well, yeah, we need a trigger event. And we'll look for a profit or loss. And so in our case, we want to look for a loss. So we'll set the mode to loss. And, you know, the best bet is just to set the units to 1 tick. And we'll just say if there's, you know, 1 tick of loss. Right? So you know it's not profitable if there's 1 tick of loss there. All right. And then the action, you really probably don't need to do anything with the action. You know, moving the stop loss to the last price, right? Well, almost always gets your stop loss hit. So, but just in case, you know, because the markets are pretty volatile these days, we'll just move that stop loss a couple of ticks above the last price. So if we're in a long trade, moving the stop loss a couple of ticks above the market, remember the last price is wherever the market is currently trading. So that'll just help kind of guarantee that your stop loss gets hit by the market in these fast markets these days. So, and that's it. So that's all we needed to do. So just set up the initial delay, you know, for however many seconds, you know, so just convert seconds into hours. And then the other one is the using the trigger and setting the trigger on to profit or loss, and look for simply look for a 1 tick loss. Okay, guys, with that, have a good weekend and keep those questions coming for these workshops. All right, guys, have a good weekend. Talk to you later. See you guys next week. Bye-bye.